Hello and welcome. I'm Rik Glauert, and here's what happened this week. As tensions between Taipei and Beijing continue to rise, Taiwan announced new steps to boost the country's defences. Jeremy Olivier reports on why the defence minister here is feeling nervous.
Always on alert and losing sleep. That's how Taiwan's defense minister Chiu Kuo-zeng says he's feeling about his country's fraught relationship with China. Chiu was reporting to the legislature on the increasing danger in the Taiwan Strait. That includes the waters around the outlying Jinmen Islands, after a recent incident involving Taiwan's Coast Guard that left 2 Chinese fishers dead. It also comes as China wraps up the latest annual session of its rubber stamp Congress. At that meeting, Beijing raised its defense budget by over 7%. With China intensifying its military buildup, Chiu addressed concerns about a backlog in U.S. weapons sales to Taiwan.
目前进展的，我讲真话都还算蛮顺利的。国军第一个把握原则就绝对不去做一个军备的竞争，我们也没有这个必要。但我们要强化我们自己，不管训练各方面，这是我们唯一的能够做的方法。
The minister also announced an extension of computerized war games during the annual Hanguang exercise, Taiwan's largest military drills. These will be extended from 5 days to 8.
考量敌情变化了，我们当然要做一个应对。我们要演练科目变多了，要探讨的课题多了，时间5天时也不足，可能要更加详尽、更加缜密，所以把时间延长。
Perhaps most significantly, Taiwan is changing its requirements for a first strike. This refers to when the military would fire the first shot at an enemy combatant. Before, the red line was artillery or bullets fired by the Chinese military. New rules of engagement say any warplane that crosses into Taiwan's airspace may be fired upon. The military says it must prepare for war, but it's not actively seeking conflict. But as both sides continue to ramp up defense spending, and with no end to the current tensions in sight, the worst-case scenario will continue to keep some awake at night. Andy Xue and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
Traffic accidents in Taiwan have only gotten worse in the past year, and the Transport Ministry and citizen groups are scrambling to improve road safety. Tiffany Wong reports.
Buses, cars, scooters, bikes. There's no shortage of hazards on the roads in Taiwan, and that makes it a dangerous place for drivers and pedestrians. According to new government figures, traffic accidents increased nearly 7% in 2023 from the previous year to exceed 400,000, causing injury and death to over 540,000 people, an 8% increase from the previous year. The Transport Ministry says it has a new plan for road safety this year and hopes to reduce the number of fatalities by 5% and pedestrian deaths by 7%. The ministry is trying to improve road safety by implementing clear signage for vehicles around pedestrian areas and stricter licensing requirements for scooter drivers, which were involved in the majority of traffic accidents last year. Those who took the new road hazard awareness tests say they have become better drivers.
如果没有这个测验的话，其实我以前是不知道，但是有这个测验的话，我就可能就可以多了解这些情况，所以我觉得它还是有帮助。
你做过之后，你要有那个意识到什么有危险的地方。
But some people say the government needs to do more to protect pedestrians.
我们看到全年度的交通死亡人数依然是突破了3000人，并没有明显的下降。我们感到非常的遗憾以及不舍。即使如此，交通部却也不愿意与我们民间来沟通讨论，来制定新的交通政策。
With over 2% of Taiwan's population injured on the roads last year, the country's dangerous traffic is a problem authorities can't ignore. But making the roads safer won't happen overnight, and for some, changes may come too late. Scott Huang and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
The world marked International Women's Day this week. We take a look at how female migrant workers facing a tough life in Taiwan dream of a better future for their children back home. Tiffany Wong has more.
Holding herself together, Francia Valderrama has been living as a migrant worker in Taiwan for 11 years. It's been tough on her body as she's toiled through jobs as a domestic caretaker and most recently as a factory worker. Her purpose? Supporting her 2 children in the Philippines.
I'm lucky to have my 2 children because they are not so like the other children that make the headache. They are actually my 2 children is the one who helping me to be more strong.
And she's needed to stay strong. Valderrama suffered abuse at the hands of a previous employer, and now she's suffering physical difficulties that have led to the need for surgery. All this has also taken a mental toll on her.
I got suicidal in my work because whatever I do, my energies cannot come back anymore. I got lost in my energy. I don't know where I'm going to hate because at the time I want only to earn. I don't want to be a burden to my family because I have 2 kids.
But there are many other women in Valderrama's position. One study from a labor rights group found that 1 in 6 female migrant workers in Taiwan have experienced gender-based violence, with 90% of the incidents occurring in domestic care settings. Domestic workers, the majority of whom are women, are not covered under Taiwan's Labor Standards Act, which means requesting medical treatment or taking time off can put their jobs at risk.
Most of the employers and companies and brokers, they don't allow their women migrants to stay here to give birth, or not even being pregnant.
In 2019, the government created a hotline for migrant workers to report abuses and seek legal counseling. But advocates say many cases go unreported. Some say the government needs to do more to recognize the contributions of migrant workers and protect them and their jobs.
It is the migrant workers who toils in the factory. It is the migrant workers who care for the elderly and their wards so that they can have their own careers. So basically, it's the migrant workers who runs somehow the economy of Taiwan.
Thousands of migrant workers in Taiwan have made sacrifices to provide for their families. And women like Valderrama say they'll continue to fight for the rights of other migrants like themselves, who put themselves at risk far from home just for the chance to provide a better life for their children. Chris Ma and Tiffany Wong in New Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is home to one of the largest collections of vegetable seeds on the planet. Now, the World Vegetable Center is sharing this bounty with Southeast Asian farmers. It's part of Taiwan's plan to boost its economic resilience in the face of an ever more aggressive China. On more than 100 acres of fertile farmland in southern Taiwan, the World Vegetable Center is cultivating seeds to send to farmers overseas.
We give more diversity to communities, we give them more choices to grow crops, we give them more resilience.
There are seeds here from more than 180 species of vegetables, including eggplants and okra. From here, they're sent to 14 Southeast Asian countries. It's a project backed by Taiwan's Foreign Ministry as it seeks to strengthen ties with its neighbours. The World Vegetable Center houses one of the largest collections of seeds on the planet, and these varieties of vegetables originate from Southeast Asia, where they have since fallen out of use. The centre now wants to repatriate and reintroduce crops like these to those countries to boost local agriculture. Taiwan hopes these seeds can help farmers in the region as they adapt to a changing climate. It's part of the government's new southbound policy that aims to lessen Taiwan's economic reliance on China by increasing its ties with Asia-Pacific countries. Taipei accuses Beijing of using economic coercion to push its claims of sovereignty over Taiwan. China has recently banned imports of certain types of Taiwan fruit and fish. But officials in Taipei hope new markets in Southeast Asia can replace the China trade while also helping those countries.
Taiwan has a lot of cutting-edge technology, and Taiwan has many experts in, all the discipline, the research discipline in agriculture. I believe that, working with Taiwanese research organization will help us.
There are clear signs that Taiwan's new southbound policy is bearing fruit. In 2023, Taiwan investment in Southeast Asian countries surpassed that of China. This effort to help farmers in the region, a core part of cultivating ties and growing Taiwan's economic independence. Alishan is world famous for its tea, but a lesser-known treat is Alishan coffee. A cafe owner in Japan has added the premium Taiwanese bean to his menu in Kumamoto, just as ties between Taiwan and Japan are at a historic turning point. Joyce Zeng reports.
Drawing out the smells and tastes of faraway places through coffee.
Ichimi Yujiro has been perfecting his craft, roasting and brewing coffee from around the world here in Kumamoto, Japan, learning from a veteran pro, his dad, Ichimi Yojiro. Their family-owned coffee shop has now passed down 3 generations, and a new brew they've been excited to share with customers is this little-known bean from Taiwan.
抽油した時の香りはとても酸が目立つんですけれども、少し、南国系のフルーツのような香りが取れます。
Ichimi Yujiro says people usually talk about Taiwan's Alishan tea, but rarely Alishan coffee. The premium beans are known within the coffee community, but because not many are harvested each season, they're limited and expensive, especially to ship overseas. Ichimi Yujiro and his father say despite the price, getting Alishan coffee here is worth it, as they strive to offer the world's best coffees to people in Kumamoto. The southwestern prefecture has been transforming over the past couple of years, as Taiwanese chip giant TSMC opened its first Japanese fab here, bringing in billions of dollars and hundreds of Taiwanese people. Ichimi Yojiro says the timing of TSMC's arrival alongside them adding Taiwanese coffee is a total coincidence.
TSMC のことは全く知りませんでした。私の女房かなえのお母さんのお母さんが台湾に行ってたの。台湾に住んでたの。で、こっちに日本に帰ってで料理の味付けが台湾の味付けとかとても好きだったわけですよね。だからとても台湾は身近に感じてたし、それがコーヒーということでもっとマッチした。
A longtime fan of Taiwanese culture, Ichimi Yojiro has also hosted screenings of Taiwanese movies at his shop, with the biggest event drawing 120 people. Now, with the growing Taiwanese community in Kumamoto, both father and son are excited to keep the cultural exchange going.
台湾の方と熊本をつなげる一つのアイテムになってくれたら、とても幸せなこと、光栄なことです。
Ichimi Yujiro hopes Kumamoto's expanding community will be an inclusive one. And as he says, what better way is there to get to know someone than over a delicious cup of coffee? Joseph Wu and Joyce Zhen in Kumamoto, Japan for TaiwanPlus.
Efforts to protect one of the world's rarest fish species are paying off as the Formosan salmon expand their habitats across the mountains of central Taiwan. Rik Glauert has this report.
Deep in the valleys of Taiwan's Taroko Gorge, these crystal waters hold a fishy secret. They're home to a growing population of one of the world's rarest fish species, the Formosan cherry salmon. One of the very few landlocked salmon species in the world, this fish species was on the brink of extinction in the 1990s, when development and overfishing caused the population to dwindle to just a few hundred. But conservation efforts have brought that number back into the thousands.
数量非常的稳定，那也有自然繁殖，还有产卵这些，相较于其他的雪巴水有放到其他的溪流，相较之下，我们猴环溪上游这边的非常的稳定。
Originally found only in the rivers of Shepa National Park, the fish have since expanded into waters in the neighbouring Taroko National Park, thanks to focused breeding and release programs, a collaboration between the two areas.
106年，那时候我们第一次2个国家就是第一次正式合作，然后到我们就是历史溪流合欢溪上游第一次放，好那一次放了之后，然后后续就都有2个管制都有一起在持续合作。
As conservation efforts continue to protect this national treasure, the public is being kept away from spawning and release areas to allow these extremely rare salmon the space they need to continue scaling up their numbers. Eason Chen and Rik Glauert for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Here's What Happened. Finally, check out these cherry blossoms in full bloom in central Taiwan. I'm Rik Glauert, take care and see you next week.